All right, looking at our second example here, it says we want to calculate the compound amount. Right now that tells me that I'm going to be using the compound interest formula, A equals P times 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. When $4,000 is deposited in an account earning 6% interest compounded monthly for 2 years, so that $4,000 is my initial investment P. That interest rate is 6%, so we're going to put R equals 0.06. Compounded monthly, because it's monthly, I know that my compounding period is 12 for 12 times a year, and the time that we want it for is 2 years. I've identified my variables, identified my formulas. Now I can plug in the numbers. I have A equals 4,000 times 1 plus R, which was 0.06, divided by N, which was 12, raised to the 12 times 2. Plugging that into my calculator using the steps talked on the previous page, step by step, each button that I push. Please do so now in your calculator. I'm getting $4,508.64. Make sure you put the dollar sign, make sure you put the comma, make sure you always round to 2 decimal points. Let's go on to the next problem. Calculate the future value of a $5,000 earning 9% interest compounded daily for 3 years. Again, I see that this is a compounded problem, so I know that I need to use the compound interest formula. A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. I've now identified the formula. I need to identify the variables. So the $5,000 here, that's my initial amount that I'm putting in, $5,000. My interest rate, R, is going to be 0.09, the decimal version of 9%. Compounded daily, again here, for daily in this class, we're using the banker's method, so we're going to say it's 360. And then 3 here is the number of years, that would be T. Okay, and then 1 sec, this is N equals 360. Now I've identified all my variables, so I've identified my formula, so I just plug it in. A equals 5,000 times 1 plus R, which was 0.09, divided by N, which was 360, raised to the power of 360, which is N, times T, which was 3. Again, plug that into your calculator using the steps talked about the first page of this packet. Please plug that into your calculator now. When I plug that into my calculator, I'm getting $6,549.60. Again, always check your answer for reasonableness. This is $5,000. I put it in an account for 3 years. There's currently $6,549 in that account. So it is slightly more than $5,000. It's certainly not less than $5,000, and it's not an outrageous number. So it seems to me like both of these problems, example 2 and example 3, are reasonable answers. Let's move on to example 4 then. It says calculate the future value. That's what it wants, is A, of $2,500 earning 9% interest compounded daily for 4 years. Again, I know this is compounded. It is not a simple interest problem. So I'm going to use the compound interest formula. A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. I go through my numbers. That $2,500 gives me my initial investment amount, P. My R is going to be 0.09, the decimal version of the interest rate. Compounded daily, again, I have N equals 360 using Banker's rule. And then time here, T is 4 for 4 years. Go ahead and plug that in, those numbers into the formula. I'd have A equals 2,500 times 1 plus 0.09 divided by N, which was 360, raised to the N, which was 360, times T, which was 4. I'm going to plug that into my calculator. Please take a minute and do so now. Plugging it into the calculator is usually the hardest and most difficult part, where the majority of errors are made this semester in this section. So please be very, very careful with plugging in to the calculator. I ended up with $3,583.16. Make sure you put the dollar sign, make sure you put the comma. Everything should be in the right order. Let's check for reasonableness. I put $2,500 into an account. It was there for 4 years, so I should have more than $2,500. Indeed, I do, and it's just slightly more. It's not outrageous, so this seems like a good one for me. Let's move on to example 5 here. Example 5 is a little more difficult, so let's read it first, make sure we understand what we're doing. It says, calculate how much interest is earned in 2 years on $4,000 deposited in an account paying 6% interest compounded quarterly. So this one's different in the sense that it wants to know how much interest is earned. In other words, it wants to know I. And that's an issue because none of our formulas so far for compound interest formula has had I before. So we're going to have to think about how are we going to be able to do this. Well, if I know A and I know P, for instance, here we know that P is $4,000. If I were able to find out A, I'm just going to make up a number for now. Let's say it was like $4,500. So if I know that right now, or the initial investment was $4,000, right now I have $4,500, then I would know that the interest amount was $500, subtracting the $4,500 minus the $4,000 original gives me the interest. In other words, as we saw in a previous section, to find that interest, I could always take the future amount minus the initial amount. But again, this requires that we know both A and P, and we don't. We only know P. So the first thing we need to do is calculate A using the compound interest formula. A equals P times 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. So first we're going to calculate A, and then we're going to calculate I by doing A minus P. So let's look at this. We have time is 2 years. Our initial investment was $4,000. Our interest rate, we're going to use 0.06, the decimal version of 6%. Compounded quarterly tells me N equals 4. Plugging those into my formula, I'd have A equals 4,000 times 1 plus R, which was 0.06, divided by 4 for quarterly, 4 times 2 for 2 years. Plug that into your calculator now, and let's see what A is, the future amount. I'm getting $4,505.97 will be in my account after those 2 years. So how much money did I earn in interest? Well, now I know what A is. Right here, that's my A value. And I also know what P is, my initial investment, right here. So to find my interest, I'm going to do my future amount, which was $4,505.97. I'm going to subtract from it $4,000, the initial investment, which gives me the interest of $505.97. A lot of people would miss this problem on the test, not because they don't understand the math, because they wouldn't read the question. A lot of people would tell me that the answer was A, $4,505.97. So always be sure to reread the problem, make sure you're answering the problem. How much interest did I earn off of the $4,000? I earned $505 interest in those 2 years.